Mary Magdalene is more than one of those names you might recognize from the Bible. She was a real person, lost until Jesus found her, oppressed and possessed literally by 7 demons. Until Jesus set her free, she was hopeless until the God of hope called her name. Mary Magdalene's story is told so beautifully in the very first episode of The Chosen, and just exquisitely portrayed by Elizabeth Tabish, who joins us today. Welcome to Christmas Spirit 1053. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm just delighted to be meeting you over Zoom. This is so fun.
Nice. I love your glasses. Those are awesome.
Thank you. I love how they're red and they match all my Christmas shirts because Christmas is the best.
It is. It's my favorite.
See, you're making me feel better. I think I'll just go ahead and put my antlers back on, my little clips.
Oh, I love
Because well, thank you for your time today. I so enjoy your role as Mary Magdalene, the heart that you bring to it, Elizabeth. And I know you've said it's your most fulfilling part that you've ever played. How come?
Oh, why not? I mean, every element of it has been meaningful. From the second I read the script to audition for it, I connected to her and felt seen by the role. I felt like it was a really beautiful example of what some women have gone through and what that sort of hopelessness looks like and what redemption looks like. And it just spoke to me so strongly. And I know it spoke to people who watch it. And it just feels like it's such a gift to have this type of character, which in most films might have a tragic ending.
Yes.
She has such a beautiful storyline and such, we know where she goes. And it felt really empowering. She's almost turned into something of a role model for me of like, this is what growth looks like. This is what following looks like. And it's been beautiful every step of the way.
It is beautiful. And I know we're all excited about season 4, but I got to go back to season 1, episode 1. That moment where Jesus calls your name. I mean, Elizabeth, we have this God who named trillions of stars. And he knows their names. He named them and he named us. What does it mean to you to think that God knows your name and has a plan for your life?
I mean, the pain that Mary is going through of living a sort of life that doesn't feel right and she doesn't know how to get out of it. And she's trying to on her own, but she can't do it by herself. And that was something that I was relating to very much so when I first booked the role or before I booked the role. And if nothing ever quite feeling right
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like you're lost and you don't know how to get back home, and the moment that Jesus calls her by name and repeats this phrase that means so much to her, she's seen. All of a sudden she knows that he sees her and sees past the persona and the bad habits that she's used as band-aids to cover wounds. He sees past all of it, all the barriers that we put up to protect ourselves.
Yes.
And just sees right into her heart and sees her and recognizes her and knows her. And we know where she's going to go and who she is in history. And it's a reminder of if you're in this dark place, like it's not the end of the story. Keep going, keep going. It's not the end. I needed that at that time in my life. I needed to feel the way Mary felt it. And
Wow.
I certainly did.
What do you say to someone who is figuratively sitting at that bar like you were, believing it was the end of the story? How would you encourage someone today? Like, it's not. Jesus is right there with you.
I mean, it's so hard when you're in a place of despair or depression, it's so hard to see past it. It's so hard to like see the light at the end of the tunnel but I think the Sermon on the Mount, that was such a beautiful scene. And to see all of these people that Jesus says, look for me in these qualities in people. And it's like this map to find him and to find love and peace. And I feel like that's it. Look for the people who are, full of love and charity and compassion. And they exist. I think it's really hard to look past the fears and anxieties and depressions and hopelessness. But I just want to remind whoever's going through that really wonderful people exist and real love exists and that there's so much good in the world too, and you almost have to just try to seek it out, to find it. If you're lost, sometimes on days where I'm like, I just don't know, I'll do a little random, just like what's the Bible verse of the day, or just open the book up and like if you seek, you will find. Like that's literally it's true, but you have to take a little step forward and you'll be met. God wants to engage with you. You have to try a little bit. That's been my experience, at least, of when I step out a little bit, I am met with something wonderful.
Oh, that's the very definition of faith, right? Just taking a step and then he meets you more than halfway. And I'm so touched to see
Yes.
the tears in your eyes, because we're talking about a TV show that has changed and transformed so many people's lives.
And just from speaking with you, I can tell that it's changed your own. And now you're in a movie too. It's called The Shift. So what was that experience like for you?
It was so much fun. It was fun to do something different. I've been playing Mary. At that point, I think it was 4 years, and I hadn't really done any other projects. And so it was a nice challenge to do a character that was a little closer to who I am in terms of modernity and
Yes.
using my own personal voice and clothes that I would wear and just like
Yeah.
not really, I guess, not being able to hide behind an accent and first century wardrobe.
Yes.
Mary has such a character that I can slip into, but Molly in The Shift is a lot like me in terms of the way she speaks and everything. And so that was fun. It was also a challenge because it's always nerve wracking to try something different and new. But there's a lot of emotion there too.
Sure.
It's a different type of film and it has a really wonderful message. It's pretty much a modern, loose retelling of the story of Job, and I think they do a really beautiful job to show how important having faith in this world is.
Absolutely. Well, one more question for you, because I love how these doors keep opening for you. I've heard you say that your mom never stopped believing in you, Elizabeth. Talk about that if you don't mind.
Sure. I mean, I've been very lucky. My family was always very supportive. My brother and I
Mm,
are both artists. He's a musician. I was into painting
mm.
and theater growing up, and they were always so supportive and just sort of like follow your dreams, And we weren't raised with a lot of money, so being a broke artist didn't seem that bad. It's sort of like par for the course. It's fine. But it did get to a point where I'm like, I can't afford living. I can't afford rent. I couldn't, I was struggling for so long and started to feel like a burden on my on my
Oh,
family. But my mom was so sweet. She was like, just come move in with me. And she was more like, you can keep pursuing what you love and just live with me so you don't have to worry about rent, which is the sweetest thing. And
yes.
in my mind, I was like, I'll move in and figure out what career I'm going to do next because this isn't working and I don't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
And when she was young, she was a dancer and
Oh,
wanted to pursue her dreams. She had me and my brother instead. And so I think that her care for our passion as children, for our artistic passions, has just been so personal to her and just has really stayed with us. She introduced me to all these old movies growing up and wonderful plays. And I think I got my love of theater probably from seeds that she planted. So I'm
oh,
just forever grateful for her support. My
oh.
dad is also very supportive, but because my mom, I think, is an artist at heart, it's been very, very inspiring.
Oh, Elizabeth, talking with you is like sitting with a friend and having coffee. Thank you
Oh,
for
you
your time.
sweet. You
It was an
too.
honor.
Thank
Merry Christmas. I
you.
have to show you my
Merry
gingerbread
Christmas.
slippers before. This is what I'm wearing in the
Oh,
studio
I
today.
love
Oh,
it. You
here
are
you go.
decked out. That's adorable.
God bless you. I really appreciate you.
Too.